computer. Okay, so welcome to Art 117. It's Wednesday, and we are doing a hybrid class today. We've got students in the classroom, we've got students online. I'm recording this on YouTube for later, and that's why I'm wearing a mask, because I've got students in the classroom today. So I've got some housekeeping announcements first, and this is primarily for the Invent Oregon team that is playing with the mask design here. I just wanted to talk about some of the masks that I've been creating as let me see how I can do this so I can show you guys this as a prototype. So the prototypes are coming really nicely, and what I've done here is I've got some brand new material that I've been working with for the latest prototypes. And so I've decided in my infinite wisdom that suiting material, the kind of material that you would make suits out of, like business suits, formal attire, that kind of stuff, that has a really nice open weave, especially the summer weight suits. And it's called suiting material when you go to the Joann's Fabrics or someplace to buy material. So I got some of this blue suiting material, and that's what I've been making the covers out of for these latest prototypes, because it's a fairly open weave when you're working with the suiting material, and so that it's very permeable and very breathable, and it's wonderful stuff. So that's the cover. The new cover is made out of suiting. That way I don't have to cut holes or punch holes in it to make it more, to make a tighter woven material more breathable. So this is kind of my latest invention in terms of trying to find a breathable cover for the mask. For the interior of the mask, let's see if we can see this. I have gone to a athletic style mesh material, and so the athletic style mesh is polyester, and it's a mesh material, so it has totally holes all the way through it, again making it very permeable, very breathable, and so that air can pass easily through it. So with a cover and a liner that are very breathable, we are then really depending on the filter in the middle of the mask to do all of the work of filtration. This is no longer just a mask, it is now a respirator. And we are breathing through the mask itself and having our breath filtered by the filter material inside the mask. The filter is the cotton batting, because the research is kind of showing that cotton batting is, as good a filter as polyester batting, non-woven, melt blown, or whatever kind of polyesters, that the cotton works better when it gets moist. And so when the filter gets moist from your breath, from the actual moisture in your breath, that tends to make this even a more effective filter at filtering out aerosols. And so that's why I made these kind of design choices. And still, I'm using kind of the black mason string for the ear loops, because it's very nice and minimal. It's kind of a minimal kind of a thing. This is a shoelace. It's a little bit thicker, but I do kind of prefer the minimal look of this kind of stuff. So for the folks who are meeting online with the Invent Oregon people at 10 o'clock this morning, you're going to be meeting in this room here, I guess, and using this computer, which will be fine. I just wrote all of that stuff that I just said on the whiteboard over here. So the suiting cover, the athletic polyester mesh liner, the cotton batting filters, and the mason line ear loops. The details for the materials and all of that stuff are here. And I've got several of these masks that are brand new and made up for you to try. This is made out of suiting. This was the original pinstripe, gray pinstripe suiting that I had, but I was able to put the polyester mesh on the inside, and it's got its filter. So this hopefully will give you something that you can actually wear and talk about with your person from Portland State when you log in for that meeting at 10 o'clock. Okay, that was 7 minutes about masks. Now I'm going to change over to do the cardboard chair concept. And I think that what I needed to announce to you guys was that the assignment closed for the measured drawing of the cardboard chair. So I have reopened the assignment so that those of you who got shut out from it can still upload your measured drawing of the cardboard chair. I wanted you guys to try to do some kind of a isometric drawing of the cardboard chair, and then be able to actually measure any old kind of a chair that you've got access to in your living room or in a public space here on campus, someplace like in the lobby of Eden Hall or something, so that you knew what the measurements were for the size of the seat, the height and width of the back, the height of the arms, and all of that stuff. And all of those measurements are written down and transferred onto the chair proportions and measurements page, so that you've got some really good, you've got knowledge, you've got actual measurements of a chair, so that when you go to design a chair, you can make your measurements either match those measurements very closely, or if you're going to change things, if you're changing the shape or whatever of a chair, you have a starting point, you have a starting place that you can go with for slightly changing the measurements and proportions of the chair that you design. So this is our first project that I wanted you guys to upload. And I think there's about 4 of them that are uploaded and about 8 of them that are not. And so that's why I reopened this project so that you could do this one. Okay, we're going to use this concept today to actually make the plans for the chair model, because somehow we have to get from this idea to this shape, this 3-dimensional object. And I know that you're all wondering how to possibly do that. So I'm going to try to do that today as a demonstration. And so here we go. Demonstrations are fun. I'm going to pull the screen down behind me and turn on the digital projector so that the people in the room, in the classroom itself, can see me, or I can invite you guys up and you can sit on either side of me so that you can kind of see what I'm doing right here. And you'll be socially distanced. If you bring a stool or a chair or something like that, you can kind of come up and see me. Okay, we're going to do that. And so there's a chair for you. And if you want to grab a stool or a chair or something so that you can hopefully see what I'm up to, that would be fantastic. I'm going to try to make some room for myself. So that I can work here. What a terrible mess. Okay, so I've got my overhead cam that I'm going to be using so that everybody at home can see what I'm doing here. So change the video to the overhead, the bird's eye view, and that's not it. Okay, try another one. Okay, we'll try this camera. Hey, there we go. Okay, that's fantastic. So what am I doing here? Okay. Now, I kind of alluded to this last week, and I wanted to just kind of go over this with you guys as much as I can. And so I'm going to maybe do one of these at a time and kind of walk us through the process. And I'm going to try to bring this down so that you guys can see this as good as possible, if it will focus on that. Good enough. Okay. So the idea here is that I want to make this like 3-dimensional seat that's going to be the seat of my chair. And I actually kind of like the idea of a chair that's based on a trapezoidal shape for me, because it allows the arms to kind of come up at a fun angle away from the seat. And it also kind of allows a built-in angle for the seat back to kind of come up too. So everything is coming up at a slight angle. And when I was building this chair, I just made some arbitrary decisions, and I'm going to walk you through that stuff. So when I take this whole thing apart, I'm kind of creating modules. I'm modular shapes that are like boxes, cardboard boxes, made one at a time. And so you guys remember this one. This was a seat that I did before. And so I tried to take this seat when I was pretty happy with this as a basic pattern. I wanted to try to take this seat and lay it down on a piece of paper so that I could trace it out and draw it out and know what the size of that seat was, and then add the tabs that I would need so that I can fold the tabs in behind the panels for gluing this thing together like a cardboard box. It's the same kind of concept as cardboard box construction, and I don't have a cardboard box handy that I can just rip apart for you guys. So you're just going to have to take my word for it. So what I want you guys to do then is to do that with your seat concept. We always want to start with the seat if you're going to do a modular chair. And so my seat on my finished chair was 21 inches by 21 inches, but this seat right here is a little bit larger than that in my model. And I'm going to do the calculations for you guys as quickly as I can. I'm doing this in inches. I'm doing this in imperial measurements. I'm really sorry about that. So this seat measures out at 2¼ inches, 2¼ inches. And so I'm just going to, where are we? I am in my photo, I'm in my camera. Stop that, go away. Okay, I don't want to be in the camera. I want to be in my calculator. So I'm going to clear the calculator and I'm going to do 2.25 is 2¼ inches times 12, because I'm going 1 to 12 scale on this, equals 27 inches. So this actual measurement here on the seat is 2¼ inches. That's this actual measurement laid out on the piece of paper. And then that will equal, if I go 1 to 12 scale, 2.25, 0.25 is 1/4. So 2.25 times 12 is 27 inches. And so this is actually going to be full-size model. I'm sorry, full-size chair, life-size chair. This would be a 27 by 27 inch seat. That's kind of big, but some people really like big, wide armchairs. And so I'm just going to do that because that's the scale model that I have right here. And we do the same thing. We try to figure out what all of these other measurements are. This one is 1¾ inches. And so the seat, the bottom edge of the seat is 1¾ inches. So what happened here between 2¼ and 1¾ Well, what I did when I was doing the actual design of this chair is that if this was a rectangle, I just came in 1/4 inch on each side. So if this was 2¼ inches across here, I came in 1/4 inch on each side. That's 1/2 inch. When you subtract 2½ inch from 2 1/4, you get 1¾ inches. So isn't that wonderful? Now we're going to do the we're going to clear this thing, and we're going to go 1.75 times 12 equals 13.75. So this would equal 13¾ inches as the full size, laid out thing in cardboard for this. And so we can go around and we can measure every single one of these measurements, and we can measure it as its actual measurement for the scale model, and then you multiply by 12 to get the full size measurement when you scale this thing up to a life size pattern. And I want us to, design each one of our modules, or all of the shapes that we're going to use in our chair, and we have to lay them out on a piece of paper so that we have a plan. And it would be nice, to be able to, lay this out on a piece of cardstock so that you can photograph this, and you'd have this photograph then you can upload for the assignment for actually making the plan. you have the photograph, yourself, so that you can refer back to it later for making the full-size chair. And then we can actually cut this thing out of the cardstock to make our chair. And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to do that. I have created the seat pattern, and I'm doing modular stuff. So I have to make boxes that include little glue tabs that I can fold this up and glue it together to make the seat. This is the back. This is the seat back of the chair right here. And so it folds together, it glues together, and it'll give me a solid box-shaped element for this back of the chair. And then the arms of my chair are right here. I have two arms for the chair. Again, they're kind of based off of that whole concept of the parallelogram. And the arm surfaces are 1/2 inch wide, so that they wind up being 6 inches wide. When you multiply 1/2 inch by 12, you get a 6 inch wide arm for the arm surfaces of the chair. These are the ends of the arm, and this is the top surface of the arm. I've got an inside and an outside surface thing side for the chair. And then these little guys are my glue tabs. They're slightly smaller. They scale up to be about 4 inches wide. It's kind of nice when you have to tuck a glue tab inside of your box to try to keep it out of the way so that it doesn't get too big and start running up against other things inside here. So if this is 6 inches wide, I have scaled the glue tabs to only be 4 inches wide. I got plenty of surface to actually put glue on and glue my arm together, but it's not so big that it's going to get in the way of folding in behind these ends of the arm, or it's not going to get in the way of the top surface of the chair. And then all of that's going to become more clear as I put this together. So what am I going to do? I'm going to put this together. I'm going to cut this apart. I'm going to put this together. I'm going to make a mess. Actually, I'm going to make a chair. So let's do that at 20 minutes after the hour. I'm going to cut out one of these pieces and start this process. And as a matter of fact, so what I did is I drew this all out and then I photocopied it so that I can make copies of this. And I'd like you guys to do that. The best thing possible would be to either photocopy this or scan this as a document so that you can print out copies of this. The cardstock will actually go through a printer, and so you can print out copies of this on a printer so that you can scan it into your computer, and then you can print out copies of this so that you have a flat version of this as a let me do this, because I've got another one over here, so that you've got the flat plan for this thing, so that you're not sacrificing your plan, your drawn out document and your plan. You're not sacrificing that just to build your model, because I want you guys to be able to turn in a photograph of your finished model, and I want you to turn in a photograph or a scan or something of the flat pattern pieces that have to get cut out to make the model, because you're going to need this piece to also make the full-size chair. Now, it's a little bit difficult because I have to kind of explain every step of this process, and this process has a lot of steps to it, so I apologize for that. I've kind of cut out one of the arms, and I'm going to set that aside. I guess I always say that you should start with the seat, and so I guess I'm actually going to cut out the seat first and get started with the seat, because that would be the best thing for us. So we're going to cut out this whole seat, including the tabs, and we're going to assemble this chair one thing at a time. If you build your chair around the seat, then you're making all of your other pieces fit against your seat. And that's kind of nice, because if you build the seat first and then you build the back of the chair and attach the back of the chair to the seat, and then you build your arms and attach those to the chair that you've already created, the seat and the back. It's really easy. It's a lot easier. You got to believe me on this one because I've done this a couple of times. It's a lot easier if you start with the seat and then build the back and then finally add the arms to it. If you do it in that order, things really work out kind of nicely. So this is the same thing that I cut out and glued together or taped together last week, except it does have the addition of the glue tabs on it. So we're going to build the seat. The seat element for the chair is this pattern right here. This is how cardboard boxes are made. And so we're going to be folding on all of these dotted lines for the seat of the chair. And once we get it, those of you who have done boxes before, you know, I'm sorry about all of this, but this is kind of a basic part of the design process of doing a 3D design class, is understanding how things go from being a flat object to folding into a three-dimensional object like this. And so being able to understand how that transformation happens and how a three-dimensional object is formed is really important. This is the chair seat folding down, and now all I have to do is fold the glue tabs, and they're going to disappear because they're going to be inside the chair. They're going to be underneath the chair and hidden and totally hidden from view. So I've got glue tabs on two sides of the chair because you don't need them on all four sides. You only need enough glue tabs to glue your box together. So I have kind of folded my tabs and I folded all of the sides of my seat so that now I can do this. So these two sides that have the tabs on them, they're just going to fold in here, and the tab goes underneath and it gets hidden underneath the surfaces so that it's totally out of view. And we're going to do that with some glue stick. So you guys can stop me if this is so boring that you can't stand it, or if this is so fascinating because, oh my gosh, he's actually inventing three-dimensional model pieces for a totally original object. You know, this is not a model that came out of a box. This is not a model, you know, that you built when you were a kid, where it was a little teeny tiny model that you might have actually made out of plastic with plastic glue and all that stuff. At least that's what we did back in the 1970s when I was a kid. No, this is your model, your prototype that you're building from scratch, just based on your idea about shapes and trying to translate those shapes into three-dimensional object made out of cardstock. So I am gluing the tabs and folding them in behind the seat elements and holding them together. And it doesn't take long with glue and paper to make this stuff go together. So that gives us now our seat element, our seat shape. So you can see the seat shape in the middle of the chair, and this is the seat shape all by itself. This is our first element. Now I would add to this the seat back and assemble the seat back. I'm checking the time. It's a little bit before 9:30, so I've got plenty of time for this. I'm going to go ahead and cut out the seat back and fold it up and put it together. And that's a glue tab, and this is a glue tab. So they're a little bit smaller than 1/2 inch because they scale up to be about 4 inches wide in the finished thing. The sides of my seat back are 6 inches wide, and the top element for my seat back is also 6 inches wide as a finished thing. 1/2 inch wide as a scale model times 12 is 6 inches wide as a full size element. So cutting, cutting, cutting. And la 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 la. Okay. I can't remember whether I make mistakes while I'm doing this or not. Sometimes you guys will find that your tabs, are going to need a little bit of editing. They're going to need a little bit of an angle cut so that the tab will not interfere with the rest of everything. Do you see here how the top surface of this seat back is a rectangle? That is a rectangular form. And the side of this seat back is supposed to be a rectangular form. I think I already kind of made a mistake because this side kind of goes up at a slight angle, but that's actually going to allow something else to happen in just a minute. My tabs are smaller and the ends of the tabs are angled so that they will stay out of the way of the assembly of this whole thing. And so I'm going to just fold this along my dotted lines so that I can fold up the box and glue it together and fold up the glue tabs. And sometimes you fold it wrong, and so you have to kind of push on the paper to try to make it go. And I apologize to Mai Nakamura, who is right here, because she's probably done a lot more folding paper, doing origami, in her schooling and stuff. And so this is probably pretty crude looking to her because she's done things that are probably more sophisticated than this. But most of us have not done too much paper folding in our lives. Any of you guys online, have you done any origami in your school or growing up or anything like that? I'm going to go ahead and, if you have, you can go ahead and unmute your mic and just volunteer any previous experience in all of this. I'm going to glue up my glue tabs here and stick this together. Who's that? Who said that? Me. Oh, you! Somebody in the classroom said that. Oh my gosh. Okay. Okay. So I'm taking my seat back. You did. Fantastic. That's good. All right. So I have to see if I can actually make this work. So I'm trying to line everything up and glue it together like that. And I have to get my finger way back up in there to try to stick that together. And then this one too, I'm going to glue, the tab goes underneath and the side folds on top of the tab because it's a box form. And then I'm going to try to do this. And sometimes you have to maybe take something that's long so that you can get it in there so you can push against something long on the inside. So that's what I did with this pen to try to make my box forms go together. And now I have a back that will glue onto the chair. And hopefully, if everything worked out, these are the same contours too, so that these are going to be parallel sides that will be flush with each other. I might have to look around and see if I can find my best fitting set of sides here. It's probably gonna be the first one. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and put this chair together because that's what I can do. So we're gonna glue that surface and take these two things, and oh my gosh, I hope this works because I'm doing it live. Ooh, I don't like that. Oh, you know what? You know that little angle that I was talking about on the bottom of this thing? If I flip this around, that angle will wind up being a lot more parallel or in line with the bottom of this chair. It still isn't quite enough, but it's better. So I'm going to change my mind and glue these two surfaces together just to try to get that weird little cut that I made as a mistake on my chair to work out better. Okay, so I'm going to try to put these two elements together, and I've got my fingers up inside there trying to squeeze and glue those two surfaces together. And if everything works out good, I have two modular elements together, working together. Now, I did not figure this out completely perfectly, because wouldn't it be nice if this was sitting on the ground and this seat surface was parallel to the ground right here? What about the top surface of this box right here, the back of the chair? Wouldn't that be nice if that surface was parallel to this surface, which is parallel to the ground? You can see that it kind of goes downhill a little bit, because I built this and glued this together as a rectangle. And so I did not think of it as a parallelogram. If I was going to think of it as a parallelogram shape, and I really wanted that surface to be parallel to the ground and this surface to be a continuation of that line, I'd have to cut those surfaces to try to make that work just a little bit better. It's more pronounced on this side, that this surface right here does not continue the way that it's supposed to. So I'm going to have to cut that with a scissors afterwards. Wouldn't it have been nice and a little bit more elegant if this surface was also angled like that, so that it was actually, all of these surfaces would be parallel to each other? That's the kind of thing where, if you're a designer and you're working with a company that's building stuff like that, you'd go back to the drawing board and you'd make sure that that pattern had those angles indicated correctly in the plans of that object, so that when it got folded up, that would be nice. But we're freshmen and sophomores in a 3D design class. We're just trying to do this for the first time. So if that angle is not quite parallel with this edge and this edge, I'm not going to throw a fit. It'll be fine. So speaking of that, let's make this side arm for the chair. I've got an arm right here. I'm looking at the clock. I've still got time. We've only been doing this for about half an hour. And so I'm going to cut this pattern out right here and see if I can make this work. And so here we go. You guys think I'm crazy? Because I had a little bit of coffee this morning and I'm kind of crazy. I got coffee crazy. I'm kind of coffee crazy this morning. So this is one of the glue tabs for the arm of the chair. And so the glue tabs, like I said, I'm angling them in just a little bit to try to make sure that they don't interfere with the folding up process of my elements. And my glue tabs are narrower than some of the actual ends and top surface of the chair. So my ends and top surface of the arm of the chair are going to be the same thickness as the seat back. So this is 1/2 inch wide as a scale model. That would scale up to 6 inches wide in the full-size chair. These are also 1/2 inch wide, and they will scale up the same way to about 6 inches wide. I found that I like that because when I'm making the full-size chair, I can get my hand up inside of a 6-inch thing if I have to try to hold and glue things and try to make my glue tabs work inside of the full-size version of this thing, because I have big fat arms, and so they have to fit inside of these surfaces when I'm trying to do all of this. And so we're going to fold this up and it's going to be wonderful. And so we fold up the arm on its lines. Hopefully this is going to work. I don't know, we'll see. And here's another line, and we'll try to make that work. Hopefully this is all going to come out, because this is the kind of thing where you do it in front of people in a live demonstration, and you never know if it's going to work or not until you hope for the best, and then you are totally ashamed and disappointed or whatever if it fails and it doesn't quite work. We're going to see if James is going to be ashamed and disappointed of his work here as I fold the come on, you cooperate now. Try to get that right on that edge and get that to fold together. And another one like this. Boy, I'm sure glad I'm recording this. Yes, okay. So here's the arm of the chair with its ends and its top surface will fold up like that. And then my glue tabs are going to be things that tuck in underneath and behind. And so I have had to make provisions for the glue tabs to make sure that I've got a three-dimensional object here. Okay, there's my glue stick, there's my glue tab, and I'm going to try, again, probably need to reach in there with something that is small that's going to go in there where I can push against it to glue that together. Okay, and then on the other side, I've got the glue tab is behind the surface here, and so I'm just going to hold them together and push a little stick in there to push against so that I've got something to glue this together. When we do this in the full size, in the cardboard, I use all kinds of stuff. I will use a whole bunch of bricks. I've got bricks here in the classroom that we could actually pile some bricks in there to have gravity hold it down and hold it together while it's drying. The full-size chair elements sometimes take 20 minutes or half an hour to glue together. But this is the arm of the chair. Now we're going to try to take this arm and set it onto the side of the chair. And it's pretty close. It's not perfect, but you know, it's pretty close. So I'm going to look at this and see what I can do with this. I think now that it's coming back to me that I designed this so that there was just a little bit of a reveal here. The arm is just a little bit longer and it comes a little bit further than the front of the seat of the chair. And I think there's a little bit of a reveal back here. The arm is just a little bit longer and it comes out a little bit further than the back surface of the chair, because I thought that was going to be some kind of a clever thing to do. So I'm going to go ahead and glue that on. I'm actually gluing my fingers to the stuff that has glue on it, so that's not so good. So I'm going to put glue on this glue stick on this, but I'm not taking it all the way out to the edges because I just discovered that I have this little bit of a reveal along these two edges. So I don't need glue on those two edges because I'm going to take the chair and stick that right on there and try to make sure that I've got that lined up in parallel, and the same thing on the back side. And I'm going to squeeze and put this thing kind of together. And oh my gosh, ladies and gentlemen, we have 3/4 of a chair that's put together here. This is kind of scary. We've got the seat and the back, and one arm of the chair is on there. And just one more element then would get this chair looking like this chair with two arms on either side. And so that is the kind of the concept. I got time to make one more. Do you guys want to see the one more, or are you done with this? Am I boring you? They're sleeping here in the classroom. They are so bored with this that they have gone to sleep in the classroom. This is terrible. I like to do things that are kind of entertaining. I'm all about the entertainment. If you haven't been able to tell yet. Okay. I'm trying to do this on camera too. If you haven't ever tried to do a craft before and then to try to do it on camera so that it's in the shot so that people can see it, this will drive you crazy. Or in my case, crazier. Just a little bit more crazy. So we are cutting out the chair, last element of the chair. Cutting around the glue tab. La la la. All right, and we're having fun because, you know. So now you guys get a really good sense of using box and box construction techniques and box forms to take something from a two-dimensional pattern in folding it into a three-dimensional object. I think this is the biggest challenge for 3D design for people who really are not art majors and you're really not design majors is to try to conceive of how to translate something from 2 dimensions into 3 dimensions. And so this is kind of how we do it. You know, it has to fold up and it has to become a 3-dimensional object where all of the surfaces made up very nicely and go together. And so if you can do a lot of this figuring in advance and planning and laying it out fairly carefully and accurately, then it should work pretty closely as a model. And what's more important is that it's going to work pretty darn well as the full-size chair when we lay it out in real cardboard and cut it out. Because this is difficult. You do this in a real size piece of cardboard, you're working with a piece of cardboard that's 2 meters by 2 meters or 6 feet by 6 feet. And that's a big, huge piece of cardboard to have to wrestle around and cut out all the stuff and get it to work. So you want to work out your details in the scale model. You want to work out your details in the planning process and the model building process so that you've got it all figured out by the time you're in the full size construction of your object, your life-size object. You know, I can never do this. I always forget that I have to stick some kind of a stick in here to push against. I'm pushing against this with my fingertip of my left hand, and I've got the support inside there with my right hand. And I'm so dumb. This is hard. This is not easy. This is fun. Okay. So again, a cardboard box modular form for the arm. And now putting it up here and dry fitting it to see how it fits. And I just wanted to tip this upside down to see how it was going to fit on the other side, to see if I was still going to get that reveal on both ends. And so yes, I have just a slight little reveal here where the arm sticks out further than the back of the chair. And I kind of ran out of my reveal on this side, but the concept remains. It's viable. So there will be hopefully a little reveal here and a little reveal here. And we're going to glue it in the middle. La, 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 la. Let's see. This goes on here. So I want to make sure that I've got glue going up this side here, because this is where the seat back is going to be, and this is where the seat itself is going to be. And I don't really need glue right here because that's going to be an empty spot. And so we're going to try to glue this together. Ha, ha, ha. All right. So I'm going to fit it, and then I've got just a little bit of time where if I need to slide it to fit better, I can kind of slide the two surfaces a little bit, and then I have to kind of commit to this project and push them together and get them to glue together. And is this one coming off? Is this the one that I just glued? I can't remember. Okay, trying to hold that together. Do I have a bucket with a bunch of clothespins in it? Yes, I do. So clothespins are a really fun little thing. Clothespins, paper clips, bulldog clips can become a really nice way of holding things together temporarily. They're like, they're like clamps to clamp your work together while it's drying. And so I'm going to put these clamps on here to kind of help hold this while it is drying. And we have our little model. Our little model is assembled and it's drying. It's got its little paper clips kind of holding it together, or clothespins holding it together so that it can dry. And so that's our brand new chair. And this is the original chair that I did last year. I think that this seat back is a little bit taller if I was going to put them side by side, it seems like it just comes up just a little bit taller. And so that's the thing about proportions. When you change a measurement, then it changes the relationship of all of the elements to all of the other proportions in the chair. You know, you can change one thing on the chair. And what is going on here with this? And it sometimes can change the entire way that the chair feels and looks to the user. And so, you know, changing a shape, changing a size or a proportion. Proportions are the way that individual elements relate to all of the other measurements and sizes of things in a composition. So if I was to drop or lower the arm height, or if I raise up the seat height, I'm changing that measurement as a proportion of how the seat height relates to the entire composition of the chair. And that's kind of the fun of designing, because you change one proportion and it really changes the whole feel of the chair. So this would glue up, and then I would have something like this that is glued together and dry, and it's fairly durable so that I can look at it and kind of play with it and see how my design kind of works out as a successful design before I scale it up to full size. I see by the old clock on the wall, it's 10 minutes to 10. And so I'm going to quit this for now for today. I am writing this up as a assignment in coursework. And so it should be done and posted in coursework later on today so that you guys have this. And this is going to be our next step, is building the scale model. And there's two pieces to the scale model. You have to draw out the plans for the scale model so that you've got plans, because not only do you need the plans for the scale model, you need the plans for the full size project. So we need you to draw these out and be able to photograph this, scan it, or copy it with a photocopier so that you've still got this as a plan after you also take one version of it and cut it out and fold it up and glue it together to make your proof of concept of your scale model of your chair form. So that's kind of another one of those projects that's a twofer. We need two things in this project. We need the plan, and we need you to take one version of the plan and cut it out, fold it up, and assemble it into the model. Okay, so we're going to meet again on Friday and try to pick this thread up where we left off right now. But I need to quit this so that you guys can meet, so that the Invent Oregon people can meet at 10 o'clock with their person. And so I'm going to do that. Let's see. Nobody else is here. Daniela is still on her thing. Daniela, are you coming over here for the 10 o'clock meeting?
Yes, I'm on my way.
Well, you're on your way. She's watching this on her phone as she's walking over. That's fantastic. So I'm going to quit this for now, and we'll see you guys again on Friday. Thanks for watching. Have a good middle of your week, and we'll see you later. Bye-bye.